Okay, so I have to two-part this because I was just going off on a rant in a bunch of different directions. So I'm just going to try and tighten this up so I can get my main thought out on the table. I was forced to eat everything on my plate as a child. I was forced to clean my plate, and I was not allowed to plate my own food. And so there was always something on my plate that I didn't want to eat. I could not leave the table until my plate was clean. And so I can, to this day, I have trouble with certain foods. I cannot smell or cook or eat green peas. And it's a mental thing because I love split pea soup, and we never ate split pea soup when I was growing up. That wasn't something that was really ever on the menu. And now I cook it, especially in the winter, it's every other week, and it's in the freezer, and it's homemade, and it's delicious, and I love it. But if you ask me to eat peas, fresh peas, frozen peas, any round green pea, I will gag. My stomach clenches, and I feel physical pain. And I know it's mental. It's not physical. It's a mental thing that I'm dealing with. So, my parents divorced when I was 7, and I lived with my mom. I spent half my summer with my dad, and typically the holidays I spent at my dad's family's house. And that, went on until I was about 14. My dad lost control of our upbringing when he left, and my mom didn't make us clean our plates, and she went back to work to help contribute towards raising us, and this allowed us more freedom to feed ourselves. And I started cooking because my mom was working, and so I began learning about food, and she never made me eat things that I didn't like. She, like I do with my girls, only asked that we try stuff, and for the most part, she only bought what we needed. There was never excess in our house, and she made healthy choices. And at the time, we always felt like there was never anything good to eat. There was never food in the house, and I laugh now because I hear my girls say the same thing. I think it's just, a part of it is just that age. So my dad remarried, and in the summer when we would go and visit him, his wife, my stepmother, who, I adore now, but at the time didn't really care for, of course, poor thing. She would stock the house. She would fill their house with junk food and chips and soda and all the things that we weren't used to having. And so when we got there, we would gorge. We would eat everything that we could possibly eat. They'd have to go and get more. And then when we came back home to see my mom after being, gone for anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, it was hell for her. We were brutal. We just constantly badgered her to go to the store and buy those things that we'd been eating. And, why can't we have what we eat at Dad's? And why is it different here? And we would be angry at her for just weeks on end. And then the holidays, I would go to my dad's parents' house, and I can remember from about 8 to 12 years old, it's all painful memories. Every Christmas was just, there was always a scene. There were always peas on my plate. And it always ended with me crying, and it always ended with a huge fight between my dad and I, because each year that I got older, I began to rebel. It's all normal stuff. It's a normal thing for that age. I just pushed it to the very edge. I pushed it to the limit, and because my dad only saw me a few times a year, it was a drastic change for him. It was me showing up looking totally different, and I always looked older than I was, and I hung out with kids that were older than me. I mean, I ended up marrying a man that's 10 years older than me. It was just at 16, I was 21. And I moved out early. I was an old soul. So, each time he would try to be in control and he would try to make me eat those foods on my plate. And I would be sure to let him know that he had no right to that anymore, that he couldn't control me because he didn't deserve it, because he wasn't there anymore, and he wasn't a part of our life. It was just, you're just like a temporary dad. I mean, I was mean, but I was angry and I was hurting. And so anyways, our holidays from until about 12 years old always ended with me staring at a plate of peas. That's how it ended, because I was supposed to clear my plate. And so as we approach the holidays, I'm working through some of these issues, and it's weird to be this old and still working through issues that have to do from 30 plus years ago. But we bury some of them deep, and the triggers of the season make me try to fill it up with pleasure. And what I end up doing is I bake to excess, and I cook to excess, and I end up eating too much, and I end up drinking too much, and I end up buying too much, and I end up overbooking every single minute of December, so that I don't have to acknowledge that pain. That, I don't have to really dig in and think about the holiday and what memories they hold after all those years of pain. They aren't always, it's not happy. It's not a good thing for me to get into that month of December. And I just recently realized all of this by having some other family issues on my husband's side of the family, and some demands that I be present at Christmas Eve, and me making a choice to not be present. And this is a whole nother thing, but what it did was, in the conversation, I was speaking with my husband about it, and I looked at him, I said, don't you realize what Christmas Eve is to me? It's painful. I can't remember a single Christmas Eve of ever being really happy and comfortable. And, maybe the facade was in place and I was there, and I probably drank too much to get through the evening. And then, came home and was so stressed by the whole situation and all of that, holding all that pain and keeping my mouth in check, that then the following day, Christmas at our house, I'd be exhausted and not even capable of dealing with my family and my children and, enjoying that. And so last year I didn't go Christmas Eve, and I didn't have all of those issues on Christmas Day. I was relaxed. It was pleasant. I didn't have any problems I was trying to dissect on a day that we're supposed to be spending it with family. And so I just recently realized that, and I'm dealing with this. And as the holidays approach again, and my kids start asking me, are you going to be there for Christmas Eve? And I said no, and I know that I'm disappointing a few people. And my youngest daughter, she's only 10 and is in the same boat, feels the same way, and also doesn't want to go on Christmas Eve for some specific issues. She's very much like me, and I want to support her in that. And so anyway, those are the skeletons that I'm dealing with right now. So in closing, I want to just impart that the pain and the baggage and the issues, eventually we have to deal with them, and we may not always be ready. We have to make the choice to do it when we're ready, and try to get past it or understand it in order to move on, and also to just learn that there's some things that we can't fix. And the self-reflection that takes place on HCG protocol and on releasing weight and letting go of things, letting go of all of this weight and issue and reasoning behind, and then understanding the reasoning behind why we pad our bodies with a protective barrier. It's important to deal with it. So thank you to Jessie, because my new mantra right now as we move into this season is to feel. That means ripping the lid off of that box and dealing with the pain that I've kept contained in there, and then dealing with it, and then trying to heal myself from it, and then going from there, going forward. The 2 steps back and the 1 step forward, that's what I'm looking for in order to make sure that these issues don't come up again, and in order to make sure that I don't pass any of this on to my kids. So that's all for now. Ciao.